body or spirit and join us in the first Noel.
King
Thank you. We are really glad to have William Steen with us this morning and also the Hoffman family providing our music as our adult choir prepares for our services tonight. So it's wonderful to have those special gifts today. Good morning. Welcome to the Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Leslie Takahashi, and my pronouns are she and her. And for those of you who are visiting us this morning, welcome. We're glad to have you. I know we have a couple visitors in the sanctuary, and I noticed we have a couple online as well. So we're glad to have you here. If you are online with us this morning, we hope that you'll stay just for a couple minutes to say hello. We usually have a virtual gathering, a virtual coffee hour for just a few minutes after the service ends. And if you are with us, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can chat with some of the folks that are there. And if you're here in the sanctuary, we are very much glad to see you and hope that you will stay and fill out a visitor's card in the Borton Hall or online. I've had a couple people talk to me about being ready to join the church, and you will have an opportunity to sign the book after the first service in January. So we look forward to that as well. For those of you in need of a listening ear, our pastoral visitors are on campus, and you will see them near the water column during the offertory, and you can see them after the service as well, if a listening ear would be helpful to you today. We invite you to join us again tonight for our services at 5, which is our family-friendly service, and at 7:30 p.m. And we will also be having service again next Sunday at 10:30. So with all of that, welcome to this beloved community.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kevin Shea. I am a member of your Board of Trustees, and your pronouns are he, him, and his. Welcome to our service. Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church is a welcoming faith community. We begin our services by reading our mission together. We bring to life our Unitarian Universalist values as we seek truth and work for justice, nurture compassion and courage, reach out to each other and to our larger community of faith, bridge the divisions that wound the human family, transform ourselves and our world. With many communicable things going around, our expectation is that those who are on campus are feeling well. We hope that you listen to the special message lovingly prepared by our board treasurer, Sharon Solstice, and thanks for considering MDUC in your end-of-year giving. And welcome. It's good to be together.
So as we welcome one another today, I invite you to do so with gusto, either online or here in the service, and if you can just wish people the best of the season as you greet them.
Autumn cold has turned the star wheel, winter is upon Autumn cold has turned the star wheel, winter is upon us. Gray the windy storms come on the cheeks, the wet rain glistens, glistens. Autumn cold has turned the star wheel, winter is upon us. Leaping is the fire, golden in the glass, the cider glows like amber. Autumn cold has turned the star wheel, winter is upon us.
As the chalice candle is lit, may we find refuge in the warmth and the light that connects us all.
In this time of such widespread suffering, here and around the world, we can find the joy of the season in our feelings of belonging to each other and all life.
And as we light the Advent calendar, I'm going to read a tiny excerpt of A Starfish Story. An old man was walking on the beach one morning after a storm. In the distance, he could see someone moving like a dancer. As he came closer, he saw that it was a young woman picking up starfish and gently throwing them into the ocean. "Young lady, why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" he asked. "The sun is up, and if I don't throw them in, they'll die," she said. "But young lady, do you realize there's miles of beach and thousands of starfish? You can't possibly make a difference." The young woman politely looked up, bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it into the sea. "I made a difference for this one," she said, as she tossed the starfish in her hand into the sea and reached for another one, "and for this one."
Do you remember me? I sat upon your knee. I wrote to you with childhood fantasies. Well, I'm all grown up now and still need help somehow. I'm not a child, but my heart still can dream. So here's my lifelong wish, my grown-up Christmas list. Not for myself, but for a world in need. No more lives torn apart, that wars would never start, and time would heal all hearts. And everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love would never end. Oh, this is my grown-up Christmas list. sight to see was something lovely wrapped beneath the tree. Well, heaven surely knows that packages and bows can never heal a hurting human soul. No more lives torn apart, that wars would never start, and time would heal all hearts, and everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love would never end. Oh, this is my grown-up Christmas list. No more lives torn apart, that wars would never start, and time would heal all hearts, and everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love would never end. Oh, this is my grown-up Christmas list. This is my only lifelong wish. This is my grown-up Christmas list. And now I'd like to invite you to join me in singing our children to their activities. As we leave this friendly place, love gives light to every face. May the kindness that you learn light your hearts till you return.
Once again, we come to the holiday season, a deeply religious time that each of us observes in our own way by going to the mall of our choice. Okay, so this weekend there are a lot of famous quotes and scriptures being said in congregations around the world, so I thought we could start with that Dave Barry one-liner. But it is Christmas Eve, and some of us are with family and some of us are not. Some of us are dressed in our Christmas colors and holiday brightest, and some of us are dressed for a winter vacation of not caring what we look like. Some find joy this time of year in spending time with relatives and friends, whether from close or far. Others relate to George Burns when he said that happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. And yet others among us reflect on holidays of the past, remembering the loss of relationships through death or detachment. But usually this time brings up some sort of increased emotion for us. Rarely do I find people who are Christmas time ambivalent. For me, I'm on team holiday haters. I admit it. It just brings up for me a lot of pain of those that have passed on and those with whom I have struggled and separated. It's a reminder year after year that I'm halfway through my life and I live alone. I find myself emotional and hurt by the smallest things, binge watching Christmas movies to keep myself from going out of my mind, and making breakfast, lunch, and dinner appointments with friends and neighbors to avoid the sadness spiral. This year, I didn't decorate anything. There is nothing remotely green or red in my house. I gave myself a haircut a few days ago, as you can probably tell. I went snowboarding yesterday, to keep my mind off this loneliness thing, and I have a few hours today blocked off to work on my thesis. The thing is, I know I'm not the only one. Okay, maybe I am the only one with the snowboarding thesis writing combo going on, but I doubt I'm the only one that has some sort of coping setup. Now, I used to be angry at people on Team Holiday Spirit, but then I realized, hey, good for them. They see this time as a time of love and abundance and caring and connection, an opportunity to be with others and spread joy. Now, with everything going on in the world today, we need people injecting happiness and love and kindness and family connection into the world. So break out that lit up sweater, don those reindeer antlers on your head, deck those halls, cook those things, and sing those dang carols. Do it up good. Want to really take it up a notch? Do what my neighbors did and invite a lonely curmudgeon next door over for Christmas dinner. Maybe you'll win a convert. But this really is not a competition. In fact, like I said, given everything going on these days, the world probably could use a little more empathy. So let's do a little exercise together. It doesn't matter if you're on Team Happy Holidays or Team Holiday Haters. Just for a moment, close your eyes. Think of someone who is struggling this year. Someone you saw this past week, who you spoke with last month, someone in your family, at your workplace, a friend of a friend, anyone struggling for any reason. Put their image in your mind and just wait for a moment. Now, send them some sort of happy thought, a prayer, a wish for a better 2024, a thought of love surrounding them. Just take a moment and send good energy their way. Thank you. Now, come, let us worship together.
Your spirit and sing Let Christmas Come, hymn number 224. Let Christmas come, its story told, when days are short and winds are cold. Let Christmas come, its lovely song, when evening soon and night is long. Let Christmas come, its great star glow on quiet city parks of snow. Let Christmas come, its lovely gleam of born again and truth of dream.
Is that better? Yes, it seems a lot better. Okay, I'm still Jean Wilcox, and I'm going to read a poem by A. Milne, who is a British poet. And a word to the wise, so you probably know this already. In England, Santa Claus is known as Father Christmas. King John was not a good man. He had his little ways, and sometimes no one spoke to him for days and days and days. And men who came across him while walking in the town gave him a supercilious stare, or passed with noses in the air. And bad King John stood dumbly there, blushing beneath his crown. King John was not a good man, and no good friends had he. He stayed in every afternoon, but no one came to tea. And round about December, the cards upon his shelf, which wished him lots of Christmas cheer and fortune in the coming year, were never from his near and dear, but only from himself. King John was not a good man, yet had his hopes and fears. They'd given him no present now for years and years and years. But every year at Christmas, while minstrels stood about collecting tribute from the young for all the songs they might have sung, he stole away upstairs and hung a hopeful stocking out. King John was not a good man. He lived his life aloof. Alone, he sent a message out while climbing up the roof. He wrote it down and propped it against the chimney stack. To all and sundry, near and far, F. Christmas in particular, and signed it not Johannes R., but very humbly, Jack. I want some crackers and I want some candy. I think a box of chocolates would come in handy. I don't mind oranges. I do like nuts. And I should like a pocket knife that really cuts. And oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. He wrote this message out and got him to his room again, descending by the spout. And all that night he lay there, a prey to hopes and fears. I think that's him a-coming now. Anxiety bedewed his brow. He'll bring one present anyhow, the first I've had for years. Forget about the crackers and forget about the candy. I'm sure a box of chocolates would never come in handy. I don't like oranges, and I don't want nuts. And I have got a pocket knife that almost cuts. But oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. Next morning, when the sun rose up to tell a waiting world that Christmas had begun, and people seized their stockings and opened them with glee, and crackers, toys, and games appeared, and lips with sticky sweets were smeared, King John said grimly, as I feared, nothing again for me. I did want crackers, and I did want candy. I know a box of chocolates would come in handy. I do love oranges. I did want nuts. I haven't got a pocket knife, well, not one that cuts. And oh, if Father Christmas had loved me at all, he would have brought a big red India rubber ball. King John stood by the window and frowned to see below the happy bands of boys and girls, all playing in the snow. And while he stood there watching and envying them all, when through the window, big and red, there hurtled by his royal head and bounced and fell upon the bed an India rubber ball. And oh, Father Christmas, my blessings on you fall for bringing him a big red India rubber ball.
Please stay seated for our meditation song, O Come, Emmanuel.
I know this one.
I invite you to join me in the spirit of reflection, meditation, and the deep ask of prayer. As we are here on this Christmas Day, 2023, let us take a moment to hold in our hearts all that is true in this time and in this space, in this moment and in this place. Let us hold in our hearts all of those touched by violence in our world, all of those touched by war, all of those touched by loss. Those who are feeling disillusionment or even despair. Those who are missing the ways that other holidays were in the past. Let us hold in our hearts together today all of those searching for a little glimmer of hope. Let us hold in our hearts today all of those refusing to give up the idea that people can live more peaceably. All of those who are seeking joy. All of those who are aching to be touched by some moment of wonder. And let us take a deep breath together. And be present to the fact that we can hold all of this within our hearts, that we do not need to choose the joy and the wonder, or the sorrow and sadness and grief about the world on the close of this 2023. May we know together that our collective heart is large enough.
When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, with glorious splendor, the darkness every and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, and yet very God. Just remember in the winter, far beneath the winter snow, from sin and death to save us, lies a seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose and lightens every load.
Wow. Beautiful music, that universal balm for the soul. Arigato. Good morning. I'm Mark David Watanabe. My pronouns are he and him, and I currently serve on your board of trustees. As the holiday frenzy begins to dial back, we are allowing ourselves this liminal space in which we can quietly contemplate the deeper meanings of this special time. The theme associated with Christmas is that of a particular incarnation of the divine. I believe we can broaden that concept as Unitarian Universalists to remember how to embody the light that emerges organically, as is celebrated globally in many cultures and many traditions. Let us therefore tap into our gratitude and generosity, both of which are spiritual practices, to fuel our own incarnation of a brightness that reveals a more compassionate worldview, one that transcends judgment and exclusion. In doing so, let us create together the form that is the foundation of shaping an amazing future based on a love of all that is sacred. Welcome home and Merry Christmas. I now invite the ushers to come forward here in the sanctuary, and those of you joining us virtually can look for that yellow Give Now button. Your offerings will now be gratefully received. Thank you. Please join with me in reciting our dedication of the offering. To the work of this community in transforming ourselves and our world, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings.
The legend tells us of wise men and people of all gender identities who journeyed across many miles.
On this day, we too have journeyed.
Many here have traveled more miles than those fabled sojourners of old.
Many of us are weary.
In that world, now past, inequity, oppression, and human divisions weighed heavier than the treasures those travelers bore.
Many of us here carry heavy burdens.
Those ancient ones knew not what they sought, yet they pushed on.
Some of us bear questions.
Something called to them, a promise, a hope, a vision of what could be, which became the promise of another and a better world.
Some of us seek a larger hope, a promise for this world we love. We carry that hope in our doubts and in our uncertainties.
It is said those old ones found the light of truth in a star, in a manger, in a babe. We find it in the coming together, in the common search.
Truth is present in all moments fully known. Truth lives in our questions. We bring our questions as our gifts.
Some celebrate the babe as the bearer of the one divine spark, a gate to another and better world. Others look to that spark within each of us.
Today, may we know that spark in each of our lives and let it shine on this one flawed and beautiful earth. May its light illuminate each of our hearts and the truths of our lives. Despotic leaders, gross inequity, people suffering and afraid, uncertainty seeming unable for people to live in peace. I'm not talking about 2023 right now in this approach to the end of the year or this holiday season. I'm talking about the conditions about 4 years into the Common Era, about that time that the historians believe the figure of Jesus of Nazareth was born. The truth is that you can take any number of times in the history of the human struggle and find times when we've had to look to the skies and the stars to find something that's beyond our ordinary experience to be able to continue to work through. Well, I'm going to be honest, I'm glad to see those of you who are here today. I've had a lot of messages this year from people saying they just weren't quite in the holiday season. So we were grateful that we had this opportunity to have 3 services, and I thought, well, here's a year where a lot of people aren't in the holiday season, but we're going to have 3 services, so we'll see who comes. So we're grateful to each and every one of you, and what a beautiful set of gifts we've had, haven't we? So thank you to all our contributors. I know that a few of you here probably have been wrestling with finding the spiritual meaning in this Christmas this year. The gathering with loved ones or the burst of energy and change of routine may feel okay. However, that bigger why, that question, may be on your hearts this particular year, and that is okay. During conflicted times, when the world is full of more than we can hold, we find ourselves struggling in particular with these celebrations that we mark each day. This was true during the Civil War when our Unitarian ancestors denounced the excesses of Christmas in the light of that conflict. And it was true in the world wars, including the year of the much fabled 1914 truce. And it was true during Vietnam as well. Only a few years ago, I remember how we struggled when we feared that the democracy we treasure had been lost and we were paralyzed by a pandemic. It is a gift still to be gathering at all here together. It is a gift, and we celebrate that. And yet 2023 is in its own way falling in line with these sorts of times. These longest nights cry out for celebration, something to offer solace and cheer. In the ancient times, the festival of Saturnalia, which was a celebration of the god of agriculture, provided this needed boost. You can imagine that in this time of dormancy, if you're the god of agriculture, you need something to remind people that you exist, right? So when the Emperor Augustus converted to Christianity, he named that Christmas would be on the day that Saturnalia had historically been celebrated, which was December 25th. And he gave the baby Jesus this day for his birthday, and also the attributes of the human rulers of his time, such as divine birth, which was an honor bestowed just like superpowers are today. The holidays are here, and they add stress to our already stressed times, and yet we return to them again and again. And it's not just because, Amazon makes it easier to shop, or we're suddenly more vulnerable to the commercial pulls of our society. I think it's because deep inside, we still have that yearning, that longing, that desire. The progressive Christian scholar Marcus Borg says, "I do not think that these holidays are historically factual, but I think that they are profoundly true in another and important sense. For reasons that I can easily explain at great length, I do not think that there was a virginal conception as a historical fact. I do not think that there was a special star. However, I do believe with mystic Meister Eckhart, who spoke of the virgin birth as something that happens within us, something that is unexpected, that is given to us without expectation through the union of the Spirit of God with this earthly world." That is his interpretation. And he says, ultimately, the story of Jesus' birth is not about the past, but about that internal birth in us, in the present. Lama Rod Owen, who is not a Christian, though he was raised Christian, he holds his Christianity along with his yogic tradition, points out that this tendency is about hope as well, that hope is not something ideal, but rather it's a series of decisions we make about how we want to live. And so this aspiration becomes another place that our spirits can connect. On this particular year, with tragedy that we cannot comprehend in our world, it can feel disrespectful to even want to embrace the more joyful sides of this tradition, and yet we know that we need that joy and wonder as well. Saturnalia was a time when when the work routines were broken apart, and the social order was also cast aside for a day, for those who had the least were allowed to visit those who had the most and make demands for their comfort and enjoyment. It was a time when the existing social order was overturned, and that is something we can hold today. Rod Owens reminds us that a prophet is not someone who speaks about the future. A prophet in our times, he says, is someone who speaks about how we navigate the present. A teacher, just like the ones that we had in the times of Jesus, when he gathered those who were prostitutes or fishermen or shepherds and allowed them to see their own worth and value. That is something that we need to remember. Owen says we do not need our prophets or even our people of hope to necessarily be perfect or even good. They may be like King John of the poem that Jean shared with us, just having one wish that is important to have in this season. It is important to remember that this is a time of metaphor, and the metaphor is something larger and something that transcends the conditions of the world. Tonight will come, that silent night when we wait for something to take shape and pray that some little part of it will happen in our lifetime. Today is a day for allowing sorrow and also allowing joy. It is a day for allowing wonder and also to not be afraid to dream of peace. So let us do so together for just a moment as I return again to look at the flickering of our Advent wreath. For the last candle that was lit today is for love, that centering value that we need in this season and in this world. Let's take a moment to feel the presence of our connection with that spiritual value of a larger love, and may we wish that it be found in our hearts and within hearts all around this troubled world. May we be the bearers of this larger love.
Please rise for Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your hearts be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little
And we will extinguish our chalice in a moment with these words of Howard Thurman. I will light candles this Christmas, candles of joy despite the sadness, candles of hope where despair keeps watch, candles of courage for fears ever present, candles of peace for tempest-tossed days, candles of grace to ease heavy burdens, candles of love to inspire all my living, candles that will burn all year long. And may we take the sparks of hope and the moments of wonder and translate them into the work of addressing this world, the world to come, and the world that is with us now. And may we do so in the spirit of peace.